Good afternoon, Oak Grove. Happy Thursday. Welcome to another installment of my little midweek content series here on the church's YouTube channel, where I just check in with you all in the middle of the week just to say hello and to populate my grinning face into your Facebook feeds so that we're all thinking about our church throughout the course of the week and it's staying on our consciousness so that we know that that faith family is with us all week long and not just on Sunday mornings. Thank you for spending a few minutes here with me. So what are we going to talk about today? I hope you all enjoyed last week's guest star when Pastor Brian Bennett came on to say hello. This week has been a relatively slower week for me. I haven't had very many big projects that were on the front burner, so I've been working on some more long-term projects here at the church. I've been getting some things done like church employee reviews. I was overdue to work on those. I'm working on updating some parts of the church's website, little projects that I've been wanting to get to for months and haven't had as much time for as I would like. So it's been a relatively slower-ish week for me. And so I don't have a whole lot of breaking news to talk to you about right now. And so I had said when I started these videos that when that is the case, and of course, every time I film these, I have notifications popping up while I'm trying to film them on my phone. Whenever that is the case, that I don't have any pressing breaking events to talk about, I'm just going to perhaps share with you something from the Daily Lectionary. You know that our readings on Sunday mornings come from the Revised Common Lectionary, which has a 3-year cycle for Sunday readings, and it also has readings for weekdays, too. There are readings for every day of the year, and so one of the readings for today is from the book of Job, chapter 11. And of course, we are at the point in the story where Job has been afflicted by Satan. Job has lost everything, and now Job's friends are talking to Job and trying to make some kind of a theodicy out of the events of his life. Theodicy is the fancy theological term that we use to refer to an attempt to try to explain away the problem of evil, and to try to explain how a good God could allow evil in the world and how evil makes sense in God's kingdom. And Job's friends are trying to convince Job that he must have committed some kind of sin in order for all of this to have befallen him. But they're going back and forth, and their opinions actually kind of change throughout the course of the narrative, and some of the things they say don't entirely make sense. But at this point, Job's friend Zophar the Naamathite is speaking. I hope I pronounced Naamathite correctly. Is speaking to Job, and this little portion from verses 7 through 20 caught me. He says, "Can you fathom the mysteries of God? Can you probe the limits of the Almighty? They are higher than the heavens above. What can you do? They are deeper than the depths below. What can you know? Their measure is longer than the earth and wider than the sea. If he comes along and confines you in prison and convenes a court, who can oppose him? Surely he recognizes deceivers, and when he sees evil, does he not take note? But the witless can no more become wise than a wild donkey's colt can be born human. Yet if you devote your heart to him and stretch out your hands to him, if you put away the sin that is in your hand and allow no evil to dwell in your tent, then free of fault you will lift up your face. You will stand firm and without fear. You will surely forget your trouble, recalling it only as waters gone by. Life will be brighter than noonday, and darkness will become like morning. You will be secure because there is hope. You will look about you and take your rest in safety. You will lie down with no one to make you afraid, and many will court your favor. But the eyes of the wicked will fail, and escape will elude them. Their hope will become a dying gasp." And so, not everything that Zophar says in his little speech here is correct, because Job's friends are trying to convince him that everything that's befallen him is the result of sin that he's committed, and that's not always the case. That is very wrong for us to assume that any time that evil befalls us, that we must have done something to deserve it. That's very dangerous. And Jesus repudiated that teaching multiple times throughout the course of his ministry. But there is still some wisdom in what Zophar says here, because He goes on about, can you fathom the mysteries of God? Can you probe the limits of the Almighty? Translation, can we figure out why a good and powerful and just God would allow evil in the world? No, we can't. We are never going to be able to figure it out. So in a way, he's saying, don't even try. For many of the great teachers of Scripture, the fact that evil exists in the world is just a given. The fact that suffering exists is just a given. They don't necessarily try to explain away where it came from. Some portions of Scripture try to give us some idea. Obviously, the fall story would have us believe that, the devil tempted our ancestors into committing the first sin and that all of creation broke at that point. Well, that explains some sins if you take that story in its most literal sense, but it doesn't quite answer all of our questions. The bottom line is we don't know why there is sin. We don't know why there is evil. We don't know why there is suffering and pain and death. Their existence in the world is just taken as a given. But Zophar then goes on to say in verse 13, yet if you devote your heart to him, to God, and stretch out your hands to him, you will be secure because there is hope. You will look about you and take your rest in safety. So, yet if you devote your heart to him, he says. So, translation, what he's trying to say there is, don't get caught up in trying to figure out why there is sin and evil. Just do something today. And, this is something that, our faith has in common with the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and that program that I have so much respect for, that has changed and saved so many lives, that when somebody is suffering greatly in that program, then their sponsor will usually say to them, get out of your own head by getting out of your house and go do something in service to others. Just do something. If we're going to sit around and complain about the evil and suffering in the world, go love someone right now, here, today, and make the world a better place. Get out of your own head. Yet if you devote your heart to him, Zophar says here. Translation, don't try to figure out why there's evil. Don't try to figure out why you're suffering, but take some action. Go do something. Go make the world a better place by sharing the love of God with everyone you encounter. And so, does that answer all of our questions about sin and evil? No. Is it a comprehensive answer that's meant to fully satisfy our souls? No. The ultimate answer for us as Christians is, of course, that we believe Jesus Christ came here to fix that which was wronged with the human race at the time of the fall of man. But ultimately, though, in the course of our everyday lives, we need some pragmatic wisdom for how to live in a world where there is suffering and there is pain, while we await the consummation of all things, when all things are made new. And so I think this is good advice. When you're stuck in that cycle of life is so hard, there's so much pain, go do something, anything. Bring an ounce of kindness to the world to start balancing out those karmic scales of kindness versus wickedness in the world. Do your part, as little as it is. And you might say, well, what difference can I make? But if everybody made that difference, then imagine how much better our world would be. I've already rambled on longer than I expected to, so that's just something for us to think about today, Oak Grove. Men of the congregation, please do remember we're having our first men's fellowship group meeting at the church this Sunday morning at 8 o'clock in the social hall. You will get to try my sausage and egg breakfast casserole, and then I will see all the rest of you for worship on Sunday morning. Take care. God bless, Oak Grove. Have a good week.